with an interesting fact, okay, but without a 4-year degree, professional networks, and all that other stuff, take their first step. So Leo will share information about DevMission's heralded pre-apprenticeship program and answer your questions. But first, because we're a friendly group, we want to do introductions. And I would like to just have everyone, I'll call on you, just your name, title, and organization. So Annie, why don't you start, please?
Yeah, sure. Annie Tatnan, founding ApprenticeSIP member, doing some independence consulting and staying very active in apprenticeships because I love seeing you all and meeting new people. Anita, I'll hand it over to you.
Oh, hi, everyone. I'm Anita. I'm with Bayvac Media and I've been working in the apprenticeship field since 2017 and very happy to be a co-ringleader of ApprenticeSIP. It's such a fun group. Should I pass it on to somebody as well, Luther?
Just Orient, go ahead.
Okay.
Thanks, Luther. Yeah, Orion Willis, City and County of San Francisco, Tech SF, proud founding member of ApprenticeSIP. Good to see you all. And thank you for coming, Leo. Leo's the man. You're going to hear a lot about his program in a second.
Yeah, Leo, why don't you put your voice in the room here?
Sure. Thank you all for having me. Leo Sosa, founder, executive director, and CEO for DevMission. And I started the pre-apprenticeship program back in 2017. But I've been doing apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship from the original times back in the days with some of you that are here on this call. So thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. Hi, Temple.
I no title, but I'm just a member of the group, and a lot of familiar faces here, including Leo, who helped me out with my computer once. So, next person, how about Terrence, Mr. Z?
Hello, everyone. I'm Terrence Riley. I'm the executive director of Hack the Hood, and just excited to be here with all of you and learn more about DevMission and apprenticeship work as Hack the Hood tries to move forward in that direction as well. And I will hand it off to my colleague, Samia.
Hi, I'm Samia. I'm a director of programs and partnerships at Hack the Hood. Super excited to learn more about this. As Terrence mentioned, we're in the process of looking at registering Hack the Hood formally as a pre-apprenticeship program. So excited to learn from all of you. Either should I popcorn or?
Why don't we go to Rick?
Hi, I'm Rick Rafey. I'm going to be leaving in 2 or 3 minutes, but I'm really excited that this program exists. I've talked to Luther in the past. I'm a technologist I'm on a couple of advisory boards for the Silicon Valley Education Foundation and the Krause Center for Innovation. And I'm working on an independent initiative around trying to help underrepresented populations get into technology as a way of giving back at this stage of my career. And I'm not sure who to go next to. So Luther, I'll let you go for that.
Yeah, great to see you, Rick. How about Michaelin?
Hi, everyone. My name is Michaelin Romero, and I am the Director of Career Experiences at TechSmart. And I joined this group not too long ago as my organization is working on pre-apprenticeships and apprenticeships for our learners that we currently serve in the school district. So any information that I can gather is super, super helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Randy. Great to see you.
Thanks, Luther. I'm Randy Wolf. I'm the founder and executive director of Early Care and Education Pathways to Success, which we call ESEPs. Been involved in apprenticeship since about 2015, from when I was a consultant to SEIU, and then launched ESEPs in 2019.
Great, welcome. Adrienne, good to see you again.
Yes, thank you. So I'm Adrienne Summers. I'm the executive director of apprenticeships for the American Association of Community Colleges. Currently, we have an electric vehicle project. So I appreciate, Luther, you making a connection. We haven't been able to connect yet, but at least it's a connection. So I'm always open to those. And I'm actually located in Washington, D.C.
Oh.
And Mindy.
Hi, I'm Mindy Aronoff. I work at Bayvac Media and with Anita and formerly with Annie. And I love workforce development and I love OEWD. So that's why I'm here.
Great to have you here. So a couple of housekeeping items. Please use the raised hand function if you could. And looking forward to a great conversation. Please try to be succinct if at all possible. And I'll turn it over to Annie. Take it away.
Great. Luther, as always, just an excellent job bringing us all together. Thank you. And for your rousing speech about Leo, I'm really excited for this conversation. Leo and I had lunch last week. I got a burrito out of it, and I also lured him in to sharing about his program. And he thought we were still meeting in person. So I also had the good news of saying like, hey, it's going to be much easier. So let's get you on here to talk about DevMission's pre-apprenticeship program. And just for the sort of armchair apprenticeship scholars among us, I thought I'd read the DOL's definition of pre-apprenticeship, and then we'll move away from that and hear what really is so special and unique about DevMission's program. So the DOL says pre-apprenticeship is a program or set of services designed to prepare individuals to enter and succeed in a registered apprenticeship program. A pre-apprenticeship program, by definition, has a documented partnership with at least one registered apprenticeship program. And I think those of us who've sort of been chipping away at apprenticeships in tech realize like some of those ingredients are not always there, but it takes a really creative and dedicated, full of love and heart person like Leo to really kind of navigate those avenues and really center the student. Many who are, live housing insecure, have families they're caring for, a lot going on in their young lives. So if you get a chance, stop by DevMission on Valencia Street. It's an inspiring place to be. Leo, love with that kind of introduction. I'd love to just have you talk about your program. And then from there, we'll ask a couple more questions, but really we want to hear from all of you. What's percolating? What do you want to ask Leo while we have him here? Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. I appreciate the love and support that I have received from many of you, not just for the time of my organization, but way before when I started doing the work with Mission Techies, with digital connectors and YouthNet in San Francisco. So almost 20 years in the making this opportunity available for young people that live in underserved communities. So I'll share my screen really quick. It's not going to be an overwhelming presentation, but I also can share it afterwards so everyone can have access to it. So then hopefully we'll be able to take it from there. So pretty straightforward. Our pre-apprenticeship 2023, this is what the opportunity is. I'm going to skip it, but let's talk about the problem. So on the school level, 90% of parents at the national level want their child to study computer science, but only 40% of high schools teach computer science. At the state level, more than half of 61 high schools in California do not offer computer science courses according to a study released by the Kapor Center in 2020. And at the San Francisco level, 50% of the district, 54,000 students, did not participate in computer science courses in 2020. So we know there is a gap at the education level, but there's also another gap at the tech level. And we know how tech companies continue to struggle to recruit diverse technology. But according to 2022 diverse report from Google, 9.0% Latinx and 9.4% African American are working in tech jobs. And I was part of that back in the 90s, and I can tell you the numbers are changing, but we like to see an increase of those numbers. So what's the solution? Well, there's a video. Let's listen to it. It's only about a couple of minutes.
I always saw young people on the streets just hanging out, and I felt like, hey, they might know how to create a website. They might know how to take a computer apart. So then go Code Academy. These young people are learning how to create websites, how to refurbish computers, how to provide tech support to the community. They can create internships, they can create apprenticeships, and ultimately an entry-level job. Some of them come by. Hey, Leo, I'm working at Google. Hey, Leo, I got a job at Twitter. We're creating the next generation of tech talent.
So where we come in after watching that video? Well, this is a practical solution. We train young people for careers in tech so they can stay in the Bay Area. And we take this information into their communities where they live so they can reimagine what's possible. So let's talk about the program and the tracks that we have available for young people with my organization. So the first track that we have is what we call Tier 1. And this is the actual pre-apprenticeship program. It's 16 to 24 years old to 144 hours, Monday to Thursday, 3 hours a day. We run 3 sessions per year. But if you look at the top right corner, you'll see the training they get out of this particular introductory course. IoT, IT essentials, programming skills, soft skills. We also have corporate site visits. They get a stipend, they get a laptop, and they get a mentor. But once they complete the program, the road doesn't end. They actually begin a career pathway program. So they can join our internship program, which is available for them. It's 6 months. They can become a junior developer, a social media, IT technician, and they can also provide community technology associate tech support to low-income families. They get hourly wages from $16 an hour to $20 an hour, and they become contractors for Dev Mission. But then after they complete that track, they can go into the second or third track, if you want to call it, which we have available for 6 months as well. So they can become a junior developer fellow or an IT technician fellow. For this particular opportunities, they get $1,000 stipend. So as you can imagine, these young people need to have work-based learning opportunities, experience with projects, mentoring opportunities, career pathways, but most importantly, supportive services around their employment pathways. Now, you might say, well, what about the ones that want to pursue college opportunities? So we also have those opportunities available. So we have our career pathway programs with programs like JVS, UROP, BayCat, VAVAC, Mission Techies, Code Tenderloin, Code on Point. I know we also have a few that have gone to Hack the Hood and vice versa. We also have our computer science major program that allows young people to pursue those opportunities. We also have scholarships. And then we also connect young people to boot camps, right? So this wraparound mentality around exposing them to career pathways gives them ownership so they can pursue that opportunity. Well, let's take a look at 5 stories that we have available. Yaritza Perez, Annie knows her very well. Orion knows her very well. She graduated from high school, Lowell High School, grew up in the mission, but was never exposed to STEM opportunities. Graduated from the Mission Techies program, came to Dev Mission, and also received an apprenticeship at Airbnb, and now she's a full-time software developer. Eduardo Ramirez in the middle, he's a dreamer, he's a DACA youth, graduated from our program, became part of the apprenticeship program at Postmates, and now he's working at Ubisoft. By the way, he just bought a house. He's got another kid on the way. He's financially stable, living in the Bay Area. Jocelyn Mansour at the top right corner. She grew up in affordable housing. She was also part of the Postmates apprenticeship program. Now she works for Pac-12 and she's taking care of her mom, and she's looking forward to purchase her first home right now. And at the bottom, we have Jeremiah Rubalcaba, who also came to this country from Spain. He just recently completed an apprenticeship at App Dynamics, powered by Cisco. And right now we're in the process of having the conversion contract so he can become a full-time IT technician at App Dynamics. And then at the bottom, Melanie Quiroz, who also grew up in the Visitation Valley area in South affordable housing. She was part of the Uber Fellowship and Apprenticeship Program. And right now she's wrapping up her computer science major at UC Santa Cruz. So these are some of the stories of these young people that have been part of the program. But you're probably wondering, well, that's only 5 stories, Leo. Well, I got more. So let's review those. Since 2017, I have trained over 300 young people with the pre-apprenticeship program. We have over 249 graduates. Currently, right now, we have 16 young people enrolled in our program. 45% of them have been women. We have 158 young people have been placed in different career pathways, internships, apprenticeships, fellowships. And we have about 40 of our graduates that also have enrolled in CS major. And there is a typo on the 158, our number is 205, but I'll definitely catch up on that end when I send the revised version. And as Annie mentioned, back in September 22, thanks to Office of Economic and Workforce Development, our organization became the second pre-apprenticeship program with Department of Industrial Relations at the state of California, DA, and we're really, really excited about that opportunity. So now we're in the process of creating more opportunities for young people here in the Bay Area, because our young people come as far from Vallejo, Sacramento, Livermore, Santa Clara, and other parts of the Bay Area. So some of our funders are here. So just give you a sense of the work that we've been doing. Takes a village. And thank you for all of the, you also have been supporting the organization. So this is our tagline, you belong here, but we all need to continue to work together to make sure the transitional 8 youth not only belong in our programs, but also belong in the tech industry, so we can close diversity gap for once and all with our everyone here. So thank you for having me, and I didn't want to take more than 5 minutes, which I believe I went over.
Well, you know, once again, Leo, succinctly and powerfully did you deliver your speech. Sorry for the dog barking. Since we are yes, and congratulations, so much love and applause and congratulations to you. As we're talking about this pre-apprenticeship model, I'm going to guess some of the sort of practitioners in this room want to kind of know, like, what's that journey like, you know, as your kids go through their program? I know you do a lot with them. They're out servicing their own community as IT support, which I just think is genius, getting experience, customer service, working on their, you know, interpersonal skills. And then they're off to greater things. You know, all those kids you talked about, you know, they went on to the companies that, you know, have been sort of really hard to tap into. So kind of maybe walk us through like what it looks like when you're working with a company that already has their apprenticeship program and you're plugging into it.
Yeah, that's a great question, Annie. And I think it really comes down to what type of support we provide to that tech company. I think the biggest mistakes we have seen in the past is that a lot of programs just pretty much say, here's your talent, have fun with it. That's not the way to do it. You want to make sure that you have wraparound services through coaching, through staff, through capacity, through mentors, to volunteers, that support the journey from that young person. I remember Eduardo and Jocelyn, when they first came to Postmates, imposter syndrome was real. They felt completely isolated. They didn't have any other, you know, staff that looked like them. But we were there along the way with Christy Speck, working with others in the program, working with OEWD. They came out to see the support, having the coaches at the technology company also provided great mentoring opportunities, job shot opportunities. So it's not just about us creating the talent, but also bringing the opportunity to those tech companies with capacity. And I want to share with everyone here that that's one of the biggest challenges that I've seen with other programs in the Bay Area and the ones that I started in the past. It takes a lot of capacity, a lot of staff, a lot of support to be at these tech companies to make sure the young people feel that they're being part of this ecosystem. So you want to make sure that that becomes available to them, but also to have that transparency with the tech company, right? With the employer, with the HR, with the recruiters, with the diversity and inclusion and equity team, to make sure they understand the role to support these young people. Because if you do that together, this collective impact approach will allow this young person not to feel isolated, but to empower them to say, I can do this, I have a year to go, and I can pursue that opportunity to feel converted.
Question from Adrian?
Yeah, Adrian, chime in.
Yeah, just a question. Who are you partnering with for your wraparound services?
Great question. So we do partner with some nonprofits in San Francisco. We also have our own wraparound service funding stream that allows to bring case managers, social workers, financial literacy staff. We also have resources with some of the nonprofits in the Mission District that allow these wraparound services to provide that type of comfort. We want young people to focus on the career pathway. So we want to make sure from day one, we develop ISS, IEPs, career pathway models and plans, so they can tell us what they need, what type of housing situation they have. Do they have stipends for transportation? Do you have enough resources, clothing, food, medicine, you name it? I mean, a lot of the resources that we offer are now part of certain grants, but I really have been able to identify unrestricted dollars to make sure young people have what they need. And during the pandemic, our programs didn't stop. We provided computers, tables, chairs, monitors, Wi-Fi hot access points, COVID tests, masks, vaccines. We were able to share those resources because at the end of the day, young people need to have those wraparound services around them so they can focus on the training. And most importantly, invite the families, invite the parents, invite the siblings, invite everyone to see what's happening within your program so they can eventually invest in some of those wraparound services as well.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I've got a question, Leo. You kind of just answered it, but years ago, the Cape Poor Center released this paper called the Leaky Pipeline. And, the hot topic is why, women and people of color just don't persist in tech education pathways. And even when they do complete those pathways, they don't get hired, right? But your numbers, which I'm very familiar with, show that you have a really high representation of women and people of color. And just maybe speak to more of like the belonging aspect of your work and like how do you get people to be attracted to your organization, but stick with it? Because I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah, that's a great question, Orion. I think it really comes down from step one. And step one is when that young person applies to the program. It's not a number. Let's keep it real. Outcomes could be very territorial, funding could be territorial, but as long as that young person applies to the program, you should see the end result. It doesn't matter where they come from, what type of background, which community, what type of demographic. You need to really see a picture about what they're going to do from step one. And along the way, from the enrollment process, application process, selection process, make sure you provide that inclusiveness in their mentality. Say, not only you belong here, but thank you for making that step to be here. Go back home after the orientation and tell your loved ones about this journey. It's going to be 3 months. After 3 months, 6 months of internships or fellowships, or even an apprenticeship a year, that's already almost 2 years. What type of support your family and loved ones can provide to you? And let's find the gap along the way so we can support you. Once they get to see that opportunity that you're actually caring about their journey and their career pathway, and you help them empower that journey, man, they're amazing. They do so many beautiful things because so many say to them, I see you, you got tremendous hard skills, but you're a little bit rough on the edges here. Let me work with you on that type of soft skill that will become a strength for you. And once that happens, these young people just like, whoa, come out of their shelf and they're like, wow, I just built this web app. I just took a computer apart. I just got my Google IT support certification. I just trained 50 people how to use computers. I was part of a referbaton in Valencia Gardens. We distributed 50 computers. Man, any employer will say, come and work with us because they have been able to overcome those fears. But it really comes down to that belonging approach that say, you can do this and the tech industry needs you. And we don't want to tell the tech industry, oh, you should do this, you should. No, we don't do that. We collaborate with them. Hey, can you become a mentor? Can you become a volunteer? Can you open your space for a job shadow opportunity? Can you actually provide this type of resource? By the way, you have these resources available. Make them feel as part of our corporate responsibility approach with resources and solutions. Never tell the tech industry your numbers don't represent the work that you're doing. Never do that. But also remember, this pipeline that we're building right now is here. What about the middle schoolers? What about the elementary kids, right? We need to start thinking about what also opportunities our education system creates within those high school and middle schoolers to create, computer science subjects, to create even like, I don't even know what to call it, if it's like dinosaur pre-apprenticeship at the high school level, but we got to get youth more excited to pursue that opportunity. So it really comes down from day one until that journey ends. But I can tell you that journey never ends. It keeps growing and growing until they become part of the tech industry with exciting roles.
Thank you, Leo. As a not so young person of color, sign me up, please.
Can you fit him in next cohort?
Exactly. He's going to join summer, June 5th, ready to go.
Leo, these apprenticeship programs at the Googles and the Twitters, and they're competitive, right? And now, our local young people are competing against a national, so what are some ways you've been able to kind of, and Orion maybe chime in too, because I know you're constantly at work at this, is kind of saying to the employers here, like, hey, look in your backyard.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest contributions to that end is making sure that you are working heavily with those outsourcers, recruiters, with the HR department. You have relationships. Everyone here in this environment has a certain network that they're tapping into, right? But at the same time, once you're tapping into that network, make sure there is consistency. Make sure there is a follow-up. Make sure that you show up, right? And not only you show up, but you also represent the pipeline that you're building. So how does that look like with the representation of our team, of our staff, of our young people, of our social media presence, of our web development opportunity? Everything that you do has to show the pipeline that you're building. So when you get to that point, you also want to be transparent, right? You don't want to tell the tech industry, oh, I got 50 young people ready to be hired. No, just say, you know what? I got 3 young persons that are ready to go. Give an opportunity. Young people need that opportunity. And you have to be honest with young people. This is a process. The ultimate goal is for you to learn how to navigate the application, the process for you to probably prepare for a technical interview. Are you ready to potentially, answer the hard questions? We're here along the way to help you prepare for that. And at the end of the process, if that young person didn't get the job, it's all right. Pat him in the back, be proud of them and say, you know what? You did this whole process from day one to this day. Now you know what the next opportunity is going to be like. So we want to thank those employers for taking their time and also being available to see that young person and say, thank you for doing that. Any feedback you have for us? I remember I had a great feedback session with Asana, and Asana didn't hire one of our participants, but they gave me such a beautiful feedback about it. And I was like, thank you for doing that. Now I can go back and help that young person prepare for what the next interview is going to look like. So just collaborate with them, find out what they're looking for, continue to stay engaged in their opportunities they have available, and just come out and say to them, hey, give them an opportunity. That's all we're asking for. But don't ever say, give them a job. Just say, please provide that opportunity. Thank you for doing that. We appreciate it very much. Your process is going to go a long way.
Terrence, please.
Yeah, thank you. Leo, just learning so much and feeling so inspired by you. So thank you. I wanted to go back to the wraparound services that, I agree with you are super critical in order for these students to, persist through this process, because it could be a difficult process. And just what does that look like for you? It sounds like you partner with some organizations to provide that, but also provide some services yourself in-house. And so how do you determine what do you take on and what do you partner out, and what are some examples of those services?
Yeah, great question, Terrence. And I have a lot of respect for you and your organization as well. So I think for us really comes back to that initial step when that young person applies to the program, right? Find out what they already have, what they don't have. And that needs to be kind of like a trust type of approach, where you're able to have that conversation with the young person and just be transparent and say, we have some wraparound services. I remember back in the days when I was with Orion, when I found the Mission Techies, I requested some clothing vouchers. And I remember Orion and some other part of that team looked at me kind of funny. And I was like, well, you got clothes, right? They don't. So let's make that happen. So I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to what you're able to provide internally within your staff. Now, remember, 30 to 40% of our staff has been part of our pre-apprenticeship program. So they've been in the program. They understand the challenges. So how do we continue to be mindful as executive directors, as founders and CEOs, to listen to our staff to tell us, hey, we need snacks. Okay, let's get the snacks. Some of the young person in our program needs transportation vouchers. Let's figure that one out. But I think it really comes down to make sure that that young person comes out of their shell and tell us what they need. And it might take a few months, maybe couple, maybe 3, and that's okay. Also remember, you gotta have that cushion money within your grants that you're able to provide those wraparound services. Because some funders are really happy when you provide that because it's part of their career pathway. And the last thing I want to share with you is you never know until you ask. We all have access to local Costco's. We all have access to Goodwills. We all have access to Safeways, Lucky's, you name it, the grocery store within the community. Find out what they have available. If they have something available, I'll guarantee you they'll provide that. And then you'll be able to share with the young person, hey, we got this wraparound support services. Who would like to get some? And they just show up and start grabbing them. So I will say, just to wrap it up, for us, a cost in wraparound services for one of our trainees, it cost about $8,000. That's away from the stipend. That's away from the resources they get, the laptop, the mentor, the entry level, the subsidized employment dollars. So you want to start thinking about cushion that money within your own budget so you can provide those wraparound services. But the formula has been very successful. They come back and they always say, Leo, do you have access to this? And I'm like, I don't have that right now, but let me work on that and I get back to you. And then we get back to them and you should see their faces.
Anita.
Hi, thanks. This is so great. I was wanting to hear a little bit about the mentors that you work with and how they engage with your students and kind of where they come from and some of the skills they bring into your organization.
Yeah, great question, Anita. So since I started Dev Mission, we have over 500 volunteers from the tech industry that have been supporting the work that we've been doing for the past almost 6 years. What does that look like? What it looks like is to invite them to be part of that journey. And you want to make sure that those volunteers see themselves doing this amazing work by giving back to the work that we're doing. And also remember, if you get them that excited, they're going to go back into their own companies and say, man, I had a great time at BAVAC. I had a great time at Hack the Hood. Man, I was with this crazy guy, Leo, who's like 60 years old, making all these young people excited. But you should come and check it out. So you want to make sure that you provide that type of environment for the mentors to really understand what type of need do you have. So we have mentors that provide our mentorship program. We have TAs that come and provide the support. We also have volunteers that just want like one single opportunity, like a mock interview. So ask them what they need, ask them what they like to do. And also remember, a lot of volunteers don't need to have a technology background. A lot of people perception is, oh, you got to be a developer. You got to be a night. No. Just come on down and find out what type of talent we have in front of you and get them inspired. Maybe you have a non-traditional background, share that with your mentee. So I think at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you create those opportunities in a way that become meaningful. And then you got to follow up with the volunteer. Thank you for coming tonight. By the way, we have another event coming up. So you need to have the right resources in place to get those volunteers and mentors excited to be part of it. And I can tell you, if you do that, they'll come back. I have a mentor from Uber. His name was Phil Rabin. He's been a mentor since day one back in 2017. And right now, he's mentoring 3 young people from our program last year. And he's always so excited to continue to do that. So make them feel part of the organization, make them feel welcome, recognize their work, and also invite them to any opportunity you have because they're hungry for that, right? So show them how. If you show them how, they'll be there.
Thank you, Leo. Samia and then Adrian, please.
Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. I'm born and raised in San Francisco and I've gone to some of these schools. So to hear the impact on the local community is really important to me. So thank you. My question is more about the career pathways and like what it looked like to really flesh that out and the relationship between what's taught in the apprenticeship programs and the different options in career pathways. How did you kind of navigate that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things that I've been able to do for the past 20 plus years with the work that I've done with so many here on this environment is to really identify what type of skills we can create along the way for these young people that might take a little longer than others. You also want to make sure that you assess that through the assessment process to your IEP, to your ISS, to your assessment, opportunities that you might have. Identify if you have young people that have a learning disability. Identify if you're working with ESL. Identify if they need housing, whatever that is. So along the way, you start really identifying what type of career pathway might be good for them. Now, remember, young people have a gift. They're the millennials, digital natives. Don't even worry about the tech stuff. They're going to pick it up right away. Trust me when I say that. But think about the soft skills they need to have. How to become a great team player, how to be punctual, how to potentially be part of a feedback session, how to even code in your own language, how to support communities that you might have potential opportunity to become a tech support technician. At the same time, start finding out what you're really good at during the midterm and your final review. That is very critical. If you don't spend the time working with that young person along the way with midterm reviews, check-in, case notes, retention opportunities, that young person is not going to feel excited to pursue that career pathway. And once you get to the point, show it to them. For us, we have 2 career pathways, IT or junior developer. Once you identify those 2 pathways, think about the opportunities you can create for them. And also you have to provide the most important factor, subsidized employment dollars. Let me repeat that again, not a stipend. You need to actually offer hourly wages to young people so they can pursue those opportunities. So once you get those wonderful pathways implemented, young person can take that journey on their own and be empowered to do that. Also develop work-based learning projects. Make sure that every project they build, they blast that out on LinkedIn. They show it at a community event. They share it with their friends. At the same time, make them feel proud of that accomplishment. Young people need to hear on a daily basis, man, you're doing such a great job. Man, show me your web app again. Oh, you learn Python now? Look at you. So you want to make sure that you get these young people excited about that career pathway. And once they get to that career pathway, what's next? You're hungry, right? Tell me what you want to do. And then you start bringing more resources to them. So I will say the career pathway model has been really rewarding for us. And I can tell you we have young people that have gone from the pre-apprenticeship program to every career pathway that you can think of with us. But that career pathway hop around, that's what we call it, from here to there, it will create such a wonderful self-esteem. Their personality comes out, and now they're like, man, I can do this because I receive all these opportunities with that mission. So I will say continue to find ways to implement those career pathways, and you can tie those with the apprenticeship as well, because that is very important and very meaningful to them.
Thank you, Adrian.
So Leo, I think if I remember from the slide, you do 3 cohorts a year?
Yes, we do.
And is it a in-person cohort? And then how many
Yes.
students are in a cohort?
Great question. So before the pandemic, we had 24. After pandemic, we have 16. This is cohort number 21. So 3 times a year, we have the spring, the summer, the fall, 12 weeks per session, 144 hours. And then on top of those, we have extracurricular. They also develop business projects. They also go out in the community and do a lot of things. So our program comes up to about 240 total hours. But as of today, we have 16 young people enrolled in the program, and it's fully in person because during the pandemic, we did it online, and online works for some, but we have noticed when it comes to hands-on, when they take computers apart, when they work with breadboards, LED lights, sensors, when they program together, it just brings a sense of uniqueness to the model. So I will continue to encourage everyone to do that.
So I know that you're working with a lot of at-risk youth. Is there something that's a transitional? So if a youth comes to you and you're 2 weeks into the cohort, that means they're going to have to wait another 4 months before they can get into the next, or longer, before they can get into the next cohort. do you have an opportunity to capture those particular students who are waiting for the next cohort, of getting them started, maybe even not necessarily the related instruction, but actually the on-the-job experience part?
Yes, that's a really good question. So one of the things that we have been able to understand is that every young person changes every month. They can say, I'm going to sign up for the summer, and then something happens and they don't sign up for the summer. Well, we follow up with them to ensure, hey, how do you feel about the fall? How do you feel about next year? So we also want to make sure that we establish certain parameters within their timeline to identify when is the best time for them to be part of the program. So some of them will go into a wait list. Some of them will be part of the program. Some of them, because of the commitment, might not be in the program. But I can tell you right now, every cohort, we get about 40 to 50 young people that have applied to the program. And we have young people, like I say, as far from Vallejo, Santa Clara, East Palo Alto, Oakland, Hayward, San Leandro. During COVID, we had young people from all over the country, also from other parts of the world. Nigeria, Colombia, Mexico, we had London. So during the virtual program, we saw a lot of opportunities that were available for some of the young people that couldn't be part of the program. But I think it really comes down to make sure that you find out when they're ready. And they might be ready 2 years from now, 3 years from now. That's okay. Just remember, when they're ready, they'll be ready, but you got to build that environment for them. So what we do in that case, we invite them to workshops. We invite them to come to our program. We invite them for different activities that we have available. So they can actually kind of see, you know what? I don't know what this program is about, but I really saw something that might caught my attention. So you always want to try to find that way as well.
Thank you.
Leo, I had another question. So once the learners complete the pre-apprenticeship phase, is it a guaranteed placement for internship or apprenticeship in that next stage?
Great question. We never promise jobs. That is the first mistake programs make for young people. You tell someone, oh, I'm going to get your job in tech. Oh, you're done. You're doomed. Sorry to say it. I've been doing this work for a long time. Just say to them, we're going to have opportunities for you. It's going to depend on you, what you like to do. Show us what you want to do, and we'll show you the way. We'll show you the career pathways. So I think it really comes down to making sure that you establish that relationship while they're in the program. Find out if they're coming on time, how they raise their hand, when you ask them to come up front, when you ask them to be part of an activity, when you actually give them ownership of a certain project. Then you start kind of thinking, I really like what she's doing. I like what he's doing. And then you start kind of categorizing. I love when they graduate from the program, because I do like this American Idol. I see all their faces and I start working with my team. Oh, she'll be a great community technology associate because she loves helping the community. He should be part of the Uber fellowship because he loves coding. You know what? Maybe Carlos needs to be a little bit more molded. So let's give him an internship first to find out what he really wants to do. And that takes time, but also takes an opportunity for your team to identify what that is. And then once they get those opportunities, right, ask them what the next step is going to be. I have young people in the past that were so smart, so talented, but they just couldn't make it because they let other things interfere on the way. We also have young people that took a long time. Yaritza Perez, who was on that slide, Annie and Orion know her very well because I've been working with her since 2012 when she was in high school. And most recently, 2 years ago, she got the job at Airbnb. So imagine that journey. It's like 6 years. Are your team, your staff, your organization ready to provide that opportunity for 6 years? Well, you better say yes, because isn't that what we're doing? Some might take 6 months. Some might take 9 months. Again, it doesn't matter how long they're going to take, but never overpromise young people a job in tech. They're going to make it happen. And when they do, trust me, you'll feel so proud, because I know Hack the Hood is doing that as well.
Tina.
I don't really have a question. I'm just so inspired by listening to you. I just had to say it out loud. The comprehensive nature of what you do, you're in it for what I like to call the long bridge. It's the long road. It's not give me 3 things. I'll do 3 things when in fact, 20 things are needed. So I don't have a question. I have chills. I'm inspired and I love the work that you're doing.
Thank you very much for that. So much respect. And you're probably wondering, what's the formula? What's the mojo? Well, I was never connected to tech until I was 24 years old. And how did I get connected? I was working for Safeway as a cashier, making good money, and I got hurt and I couldn't work anymore, but I had money to go back to school. And they sent me back to school. If I didn't have a union job back in the days that sent me to school and paid for my tuition and paid for my books at San Francisco City College, why can I do that for young people? So I encourage all of you to take action, not just to create apprenticeships or pre-apprenticeships or register apprenticeships. Just remember, you on your own way can create those opportunities for young people. There's a lot of young people out there that don't know about what you all do. Find ways to inspire them, because when you inspire them, they become better than who we are. And isn't that what we're trying to do?
Luther, can I ask the question?
There you go. Oh.
Luther, or Leo, I'm also struck by the physical space you offer. Young people, sometimes they don't have a lot of spaces where they're not, hey, don't congregate there, but your space is so, both conducive to learning tech and breaking apart computers, and there's that real kind of lab vibe. But maybe what advice would you have for other organizations who want to kind of set up that physical space that, the young people who kind of finish the program but still want a base to like print a resume or, come back?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to what type of hands-on opportunities you will provide to the young people that are hungry for that. There is 2 types of young people, right? The ones that really love to be in front of a professor for 2-3 hours and they digest the information, and that's great, that's exciting. But in the population that we serve, it's all about hands-on. So you want to make sure that your environment creates that sense of belonging, safe haven place. All of our programs run inside affordable housing, and sometimes people looked at me kind of funny, like, what are you doing at Valencia Gardens? What are you doing at Bayview, Western Addition? We're just launching a program at Booker T, Washington Community Center. And they're probably wondering, how do you do that? Well, all these environments have a certain caviar, and that caviar needs to be available for young people. And if young people want to come earlier, that's all right. Don't restrict that to them. Also, the technology, you need to have not the latest technology out there. A lot of programs think, oh, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that. Just make sure that you have technology that works for your curriculum, for the pedagogic, for your competencies, for the type of purpose you're trying to communicate with the young person, the type of resources you have available. So you want to do a baseline, a blueprint to identify what the need is of the young persons, where they live, where you're trying to launch this program, and bring the resources to them so they can be immersed in that type of technology and actually build, make decisions, have critical thinking skills, break things up, put them back together. The code didn't work today, that's all right. Go back and clean that code, have a whiteboard, have some potentially other resources available so they can reimagine what they can do. And technology has that opportunity. And there are many resources online that these young people can tap into. Not just do it at your location, but what are you doing at home? Are you also taking advantage of this curriculum at home so you can continue to pursue that opportunity? So I will encourage all of you to continue to identify what is your technology, what type of resources you have, what type of funding you have available, and then create that environment. And always ask young people what they want. Always ask them what they want. They're going to come up with like 50 wish items. That's all right. Well, pick the 5 that you know you can accomplish for them and be available and say to them, how do you feel now? Oh, man, I love my 3D printer. Okay, there you have it. Oh, I love working with my breadboard, my LED lights, my Arduino. Oh, you want to see how I take apart this computer, put it back together in 2 minutes? Okay, show me. That's what you really want to do, right? Challenge young person with the resources you have So that way they can continue to build and reimagine what's possible.
Well, this has been great. We are officially wrapping at 5:30, but I think we can stay on a little longer if anyone else has any burning questions, any follow-up questions for Leo or the group. I just kind of wanted to pop in and give folks who do need to hop off a little reminder that we meet monthly. So these conversations are ongoing. Our next meeting is the fourth Wednesday in March on the 22nd at 4:30 p.m. We're still building out our calendar of talks for the year. So if you have any suggestions, we are open to hearing them. You can pop them in the chat or email Annie, Luther, me, or Orion with your thoughts. Some ideas that were floated at the last talk were to dive more deeply into degreed apprenticeship, the role of intermediaries in apprenticeship, total cost of apprenticeship. So we're open to any and all apprenticeship related discussions and guest speakers. And also I'm going to put in the chat, if you aren't already part of our meetup, you should join and have all of your apprenticeship friends join, folks that are in the industry. And we also recently realized that there is a fee to host the meetup. There's no fee to you, but if you choose to, you may donate a few dollars our way. I believe Annie is the host, so I can put her Venmo in the chat, but absolutely no obligation. We're just came to our attention that we are being charged. I believe that is it from me.
Oh, thank you so much, Anita, for that wrap up. Leo, again, really so honored to have you here. Thank you. More to come. Thank you. Yeah, I hear you, Cam. I kind of like we like the meetup because it kind of keeps the database going. Yeah, thanks, Anita. But before we depart, for people who have to log off, if you don't mind, I'd love to take a little picture of us gathering. I know it's weird, but just to show us, and if I'll tell you when I'm taking it. If you feel like going off screen, don't feel like you need to be in it, but it's just nice to have evidence. Good, and you're back on. All right, everyone. Okay, and smile. All right, thank you, Leo. Yeah, and I'll keep the room open for a little bit longer. We just want to be sensitive to dinner time starting and all that.
I also posted my information on the chat if you're interested to learn more about the work. And I also like to share that I'm very interested on your work as well. I know I've been meaning to get together with Terrence and other. Kenneth, thank you for the love as well. And we're available for any type of collaboration, partnership. Remember also that the state of California is very interested in collaboration grants. So that's something that we have been able to accomplish with like Urban Ed Academy and other organizations like Booker T. So again, think about that opportunity as well, because it's going to create a reverse apprenticeship model with other organizations if you collaborate. Like I've always been meaning to collaborate with Bayback because they have such a really cool media program. They created some videos for us. And also remember, right, young people need to be exposed to whatever that means in respect of that realm of apprenticeship opportunities. Everyone is different, everyone is unique. So let's continue to create those for them.
Hey, Leo, are you an actual Leo astrologically?
No, not at all.
Are you a Gemini?
Not at all.
Are you an Aries?
Nope.
What are you?
Here it comes. See if you figure this one out. I'm typing it. See what you think.
Oh, Scorpio. Okay. I just wish I had your energy because, you know, obviously what you're doing works like a charm. But when I think about doing it for Bayvac, I just get so tired.
Well, it really comes down to, I will say, your team. And I'm not saying that's not what happens at Bayvac, but I've been of global nonprofits. I've been part of national nonprofits. And now that I run my own, That's one of the things that I really pay attention to, and it's hard. And it's very hard to really understand the dynamics of every employee that you have, of every intern, of every volunteer, of every guest that you bring to the table. But what has really worked for me, I think, is just the vibe. A friend of mine called it the mojo that I had just to get everyone excited. And that's from the young person, but from the partners, from the funders, from the tech industry, from technologists, from everyone that I meet on the street, that everyone that I meet at headquarters, or everyone that I decide to eventually meet, right? You got to bring that type of presence. And also remember, everyone brings something to the table. So find out what they do, find out what they bring to the table, and get them involved. Get them involved in what you do. And I know BAVAC just has so many wonderful programs. Get more involvement from the tech industry. I mean, let's face it, a lot of these tech companies don't know how. Like, they don't even know how to run an apprenticeship program. I mean, Norton and I put together the Postmate program, and they had no idea how to do it. But we showed them how with love, with confidence, with support, with follow-up, and then they were able to say, you know what? Now we know how to do this. And I think now is an opportunity for us to just continue to do that.
Leo, I have one quick question. Conversations that I'm having, because you talk a lot about working with employers and, hey, just give them an opportunity. We do find that college institutions are actually looking to bring students into, right? So for people who didn't choose a college career, but I can imagine that well, I'd like you to confirm if in your program, students say, wow, I know I can learn. How can I go to college or, finish that? Do you do referrals and have alignment in that regard as well?
Yeah, I'm going to give you 2 stats on that end. The first stat is that 65% of our graduates have learned more at Deaf Mission than they have learned at college. Now, I'm not saying that our program is the dopest program out there. But for them to say that, it's a testament of the hard work that we're doing with every young person that walks into our door. And then for the ones that are pursuing those opportunities, we have great relationships with San Francisco State University, San Francisco City College. We have chapters at those schools where young people that graduated from our program are recruiting more young people within the computer science, the hardware engineer, the IT support. So you want to also have those young people empowered to feel part of that belonging approach, and tell your friends, tell your classmates, let them know about the program. So finding ways to identify how to navigate that environment could be tricky for some young people. But I can also tell you, most recently, I saw one of our dreamers. He's a DACA youth that just completed his computer science major at San Francisco State University. I was so proud to see that when he sent it to me on Slack. He sent me a picture of his degree. I just couldn't say anything. I paused for a minute and I gave him a call and I just told him, man, look what you have accomplished with so many barriers in front of you, right? When it comes to the language, the immigration status, not having money, being part of the Metro program at San Francisco City College, having other resources like a backpack, books, all these different things. He felt that he had that opportunity available. And I think a lot of young people remember college is not for everyone, right? So you got to identify traditional, non-traditional, and that comes with the assessment. Once you identify what that is, think about that. I'll give you another stat. Every young person that we refer to year up has been converted into a job, 100% conversion. And you can ask year up because we have the data. Every young person that has gone to Deaf Mission Pre-Apprenticeship program and has gone to year up has been fully converted after their 6-month internship at year up. What does that mean? Like Hack the Hood, BAVAC, BACAT, Mission Techies, Code Tenderly, all these programs build that opportunity. So when they go to the next opportunity, if it's another program or a community college or a boot camp, they'll be ready for what that opportunity is. You need to set the foundation there. So I hope I was able to answer your question. And I know that some young people will never go back to college, and that's okay. You're still talent. You're still a pipeline. Let's find that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Some will choose that, but then there are others. It's not like you have to choose not to go to college. Sometimes once you learn, you can learn, then you're like, well, wait, so I can go to college. And so the bottom line is to offer them whatever choice that they feel compelled to do. I'm in awe of everything you do, and I'm so grateful for you being invited, and I got to hear you.
Well, remember, you never want to mandate a young person what to do, what type of career they want. Trust me, I have 3 kids of my own. All 3 work for Dev Mission. And I can tell you, all 3 of them love what they do. My daughter, it's our operations manager. She's one of the co-founders. My oldest boy, he's our creative director. Everything you see on social media, TikTok, website, he does that. And my youngest, he's a utility engineer. And that's the journey they want to pursue. I want them to choose that journey, and I want families to help their kids to choose that journey. Never mandate a young person what they want to do, because I was in those shoes and I never made it happen for my family. So I want to make sure that young people have that avenue available, because let's face it, this is the most amazing place where they can make that happen, not just in the Bay Area, but across the country as well.
Leo. Check us up, check us up.
Thank you,
Hey,
Leo.
good
Thank you,
to
everyone.
see you.
No, thank you all.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much,
it.
everyone. Yeah,
Stay in
everyone have a
touch.
wonderful
See you next
evening,
month.
and we'll be in touch about March, the topic and everything. So hope to see everyone back in a month.
Thank
Take
Thank
care.
you all. Enjoy your Wednesday. Thank you, Annie. Bye, everybody.
Bye.